I would like to invite Dr. Ali Imran from University of Oklahoma, Tulsa, USA.
Let me begin by thanking the organizer, particularly Dr. Mudil and Dr. Usman Ghani for giving me the opportunity to present some of the results from our center. Can you hear me? Is this working? And I was very impressed. I must say that the first part of very lightning and very broad application of AI. So in this talk, actually, I'm going to zoom in into a specific domain. And the domain we are focused actually is wireless communication or networks in general. So the title of my talk is actually Zero Touch Deep Automation. So I will begin by providing a brief overview of the research center which I lead, and then I will actually just select one case study out of probably hundreds of projects we are doing. So I will begin by actually acknowledging the team, which includes several postdocs and postgraduate students and our sponsors, which include National Science Foundation and industry collaborators across the world. So in terms of what we do actually, so we focus on data-driven modeling and knowledge discovery, and particularly we are focused on tools which use large amount of data as well as small amount of data for modeling dynamic and complex systems. And we also focus on optimization and detection and diagnosis in complex systems. And in terms of type of data, we are focused on variety of, we use a variety of data, mostly relational databases, and also domain knowledge is very important in terms of what we do. And I'll explain that later. So I'll skip this part. So, as was rightly pointed out by Dr. Ayaz, that in terms of applying AI, we do need domain knowledge. So we cannot actually be expert of all domains. So we are focused on two domains so far in our center, cellular systems and healthcare. In this particular talk, I will just cover the cellular system, and within cellular systems, we are focused on tackling the complexity of the network and the dynamics in the network and the training based on sparse data. So why cellular system, and why I have chosen cellular system as an example to explain what we do. So cellular system is actually a very unique man-made system. It's an architectural example of a complex dynamic system where we have a variety of dynamics ranging from nanosecond, microsecond to all the way to seasons and festivals, which range to years. So this is very different than other AI applications, for example, image processing, where it's a very stationary system, and healthcare, where we also have evolutionary time scale. So it makes it very challenging to use AI in such a system. And other feature in cellular system is hyperdimensionality. So what does that mean is actually in 2G GSM, for example, we had 500 parameters per site, and we had thousands of sites per country. And then as we move to 4G, now we have 1500 parameters, and 5G we are expecting 2000 plus parameters per site and almost 500 sites per city. So optimizing such a hyperdimensional system is a challenging task for the human mind. We cannot fathom the complexity of such a system and hence cannot operate that system optimally. Another challenge is interaction and conflict between the objectives. So cellular system is a multi-objective system where we want to optimize the capacity and quality of experience and energy efficiency and rate of return on the investment, and all of those are conflicting objectives, and usually the parameters which control those objectives are overlapping, which means we have to do Pareto optimization, or even within Pareto optimization, we might not have smooth Pareto front. We might have actually non-convex Pareto front, which means there would be conflicts which have to be avoided. Another challenge is scarcity of data, which is often overlooked in many systems. In most of the machine learning applications, we are dealing with situations where we have abundance of data. Most powerful machine learning tools popular today, for example, deep learning, are data hungry. And when it comes to cellular systems, we often have to rely on very sparse data. So we have to go beyond deep learning or different than deep learning and go into neuromorphic computing where we can mimic human brain behavior of one-shot learning. Privacy is also a challenge. Data is often not available in cellular systems because of the privacy laws in Europe and USA. And then non-linearity, cellular system is a very non-linear system. And again, the complexity which stems from the interactions and dimensionality. So having said that, that sets the floor that why cellular system is one of the very interesting case study to apply artificial intelligence for optimization. So to give you a perspective that how we are positioned compared to the rest of the lab in USA, focus on wireless communication, the cellular system. Most of the labs actually focus on physical layer, and within that, for example, focus on massive MIMO, new modulation scheme, and other labs are working, for example, NYC are working on higher spectrum bands like millimeter wave and visible light. Compared to that, we have proposed actually several years ago, about half a decade ago, a new dimension which is artificial intelligence-based, lean, elastic, and agile and proactive network which can change its capacity and operational configuration by orchestrating its parameters using AI. So this work was actually triggered by this Korean paper cited at the bottom, which started this new paradigm. And to enable this research, we are using in-house simulators and testbeds. I will skip this. And here, this slide points out the difference between the state-of-the-art commercial testbed, a tool which has a license of maybe $500,000 a year, versus the simulator we have built in lab. So that shows that the simulator we have actually has far more realistic modeling of multi-objective performance of the network. And this is the picture of the dashboard we are building right now. So let's move on to the case study in interest of time. So why do we want to use artificial intelligence for cellular system? Because there exists a $1 trillion problem waiting to be solved. And it's a $1 trillion problem because operational cost of all the networks in the world for 2,000 operators around the world is about $1 trillion. And out of that $1 trillion, the estimates say that we can save almost 70% of that operational cost easily if we can automate that operation. Because most of the processes are manual and they are based on different. I'll explain that in a moment. So with the increasing complexity, decreasing profit margins, and increasing diversity of quality of experience expected from the network, the future of wireless operators' financial and technical viability depends upon intelligent automation. So unlike many industries where we are doing automation for probably improving the efficiency, here the survival hinges on automation. So here in this slide, this is another perspective that why the survival hinges on automation, because if you have 2,000 parameters per base station, and there are 500 sites in a city, then you cannot train an engineer to optimize those 2,000 parameters simultaneously. There does not exist any mathematical model, and there does not exist actually any insight into system behavior. So how are we doing it then? Why the problem hasn't been solved if it's such an important problem? Because traditionally, we train our engineers in a systematic way, historically, either in CS domain or in wireless communication domain. So people are either programmers or engineers. And unlike many other applications where you can pick up the top level domain knowledge, In wireless communication, you really need a lot deep domain knowledge to apply AI, and on top of that, you need system level perspective. So, just before coming here, actually, I was at Globecom and the professor served with the founder of Internet, actually considered the father of Internet. In his keynote, he raised a very interesting point, and he is the Google chief, actually, Internet evangelist. He said that we academics need to train more people with system level perspective. We are not training enough people who have system level perspective. We train people to design components, but not system level. So this gap between these two domains is where we are not able to fill the pieces of the puzzle, and we are not able to complete the story. So to solve the problem, trillion-dollar problem, we need expertise which lie at the intersection of these three domains, expertise. And this is where our center is positioned, and based on the work we have done last decade, it has already resulted in a startup. So I don't have time to go into detail of that. So let's zoom out and see that how that optimization of a cellular network is being done currently in a manual way. So this is a cellular system. Do we have a pointer? Somebody was carrying a pointer. Pointer. Yes, so cellular system, and we gather data either remotely or to broadcast by sending the people on cars to drive around and analyze that data, and then we have what we call RF engineers who come up with new parameters, and those new parameters are configured back in the system. And this is a complete optimization cycle, which usually takes a week or more to complete, and it involves thousands of people. And about 10 years ago, the industry tried to optimize this process and came up with a program closed loop for that process, where this whole process was designed in a way that humans would be removed from the loop. And instead of actually collecting the data through diecast, we would collect the data remotely. But this was the vision which was proposed 10 years ago, but the reality is this. And what does this mean is that we have a closed loop which does hit and try on a live network to try one parameter, change it at the lowest traffic time for 4 a.m. and then observe the performance for next few hours, and if the performance is better, then it will keep the new parameter, otherwise it will reverse. And why we have to rely on hit and trial? Because we don't have a model of the system. System is so complex that we don't have mathematical models, and human domain knowledge is not deep enough to fathom the complexity of the system. So in that backdrop we propose a solution, and the solution actually is here in this paper cited here. The key idea is that instead of doing hit and trial on a live network or relying on simulations, why don't we use the data observations from the system between the network parameters and the KPIs to create the model of the system, and then use that model for optimization. So that was a simple vision. But when it comes to actually implementing this vision, it's easier said than done, because as I said, the 2,000 parameters and system is very complex. So even this most sophisticated machine learning tools, even deep learning with infinite amount of data, it's almost impossible to create a model. Theoretically you can do that, but practically you cannot do that. So to explain this concept, many people believe that deep learning is a universal learner. But this is like saying that if you give me a liver long enough, I can topple the earth. Theoretically, this is possible, yes, because the liver principle allows you to carry any large weight by a small amount of force as long as you place the stickdom at a very large distance. So similarly, if you have a large amount of data and very deep neural network, then you can learn anything. But in reality, this is not possible. So that's why in this particular case study, I'm going to present a bottom-up approach, in which we use the divide and conquer principle. So instead of developing the system level KPI versus network parameter models, which we tried to do but we failed and consistently failing for several years, we devised this scheme which is now we turned out more successful. Here the idea is that instead of creating a model for capacity versus there being a parameter, capacity versus say a handover parameters, we need to go down and create a model of the low level performance indicator, which can be then mapped to high level performance indicator. So here comes the domain knowledge, where using the domain knowledge, we observe that all system level KPIs in a cellular network, for example, capacity, quality of experience, energy efficiency, all of them are one way or other can be modeled as the receive signal strength. So if you, because receive signal strength can be then translated into signal quality can be then translated into capacity and quality of experience and so on. So if we can model, if we can develop an AI-based model or machine learning-based model between the receive signal strength and the fundamental performance network parameter, then we can go to the next level. So that was the starting point. So within that, we ask ourselves a question that what if we can use machine learning to replace the ray tracing or empirical models, and then we will be able to achieve the two advantages. One is we won't need the latency required by simulation models, and also we will be able to reverse engineer and characterize the environment as well. So we began by collecting the data, raw data, and this included all the parameters of the system design, which include base station locations, azimuths, antenna tiers, and also receive signal strengths. And then we did pre-processing, and then feature extraction, and then modeling. I'll skip the detail, assuming that everybody here is familiar with the pre-processing and feature engineering. So this is the data which goes into the model, and then we do the pre-processing, feature engineering, and then I'll move on to results, actually, because that's the key part here. So once we actually convert the data into processable data, we try different machine learning models, starting from parametric model to non-parametric models. And here is a complete list. I will skip it, and I will go to the results. So for testing of our solution, we use the data from a collaborating operator from Europe, and this is the city of Belgium. And here the goal is we are trying to predict the receive signal strength using machine learning. So the state of the art is either you use a ray tracing model or an empirical model, which is based on the previous observation. So, and in this particular result set, we are comparing different machine learning algorithms. And I want to highlight one interesting fact here. If people who are working on machine learning, everybody by some reason by default we assume that deep learning is supposed to perform better, but that's not the case actually. In this particular problem, you can see that deep learning is not the best performer. The RMSE, root mean square error for deep learning, is actually higher than many other algorithms. And one other experiment we did here is that we try to train the same models using complete training data available and very sparse data, just 1% of the data. And this also gave us an insight about how the sparsity of data is going to affect the performance of a network and performance of a particular machine learning algorithm. And here the key insight is that deep learning is among the models, among the actually predictors which lose the most performance when the data becomes sparse. So that means it's not one size fits all kind of solution. Deep learning has its place, but when data is sparse, you don't want to use that. And then there was the other aspect which we studied, which is often skipped in the literature. Literature compares predictors based on accuracy only, but we were more interested in practical applications, and we looked at the training time as well as the prediction time. And here also, as you can see, the deep learning is actually worse performance because it takes a lot of time in training and then also a lot of time in predicting. Compared to that, we have other XG boost and the live GTM and cat boost for better performance in both training time and prediction time, as well as they give reasonable accuracy. So the key insight from this result is that deep learning is not the holy grail. So we still have other methods which can perform better depending upon the type of data and problem. And then we compare this with the empirical models, which are the state of the art. So the empirical models include the popular model like shorturl model, Stanford University income model, standard propagation model, and ITU model. So the results here show that the proposed AI-based model actually outperformed the Stanford University income model and shorturl and all other empirical models in terms of accuracy. And it was actually about 12 times faster than ray tracing. And then we went on to interpreting the model and seeing that it can provide us some insights into what of the features are more important. And we did it using chap analysis. And here the key finding is that unlike common belief that it's the distance from the signal transmitter which affects the signal strength most, is the horizontal angular separation which plays the biggest role. So this insight actually helped us design better algorithms in terms of optimizing the system, because now instead of focusing on the base station placement, we could focus on the angle of the antenna, because that's the biggest influencer on the performance of the network. And here, using the same chap analysis, actually we were able to see the interaction between different parameters, where we have propagation distance, and then we have actually the value of angular separation. And we can see that the interaction is very dynamic, which means the influence of propagation distance changes as the value of angular distance changes. So this was the attempt to make a black box into a gray, transform a black box into a gray box, because usually machine learning is claimed to be a black box, particularly in our domain. To make it trustworthy, we need to have some insights into it. And these were the results which gave us insights into the working of the model, kind of give us a gray box that being precise gives this result. So I wanted to jump into conclusion, because I've been told that my slot was already gone, so I'm meeting. Okay. So advantages of AI-based propagation modeling. Here the reason we did it was because we have only two possibilities to predict signal strength in today's applied wireless communication. One is using empirical models. They are way off the real measurements because they are based on historical data followed by shorturl. And the other is ray tracing, which is very accurate, but it's very computationally expensive. So you need the details of the environment to the degree that it becomes cost-wise prohibitive to use ray tracing for most real applications. So to overcome that challenge, we looked into the potential of machine learning to see if we can use machine learning to replace or complement or augment these two techniques, state-of-the-art techniques. And the result is that with machine learning we can improve 20%. We can yield 20% more accurate prediction compared with the empirical model, and we can have 12 times faster solution compared to ray tracing. So that is very interesting finding, and that is a small step towards the overall optimization objective which we have been chasing for the last 1 decade, which is can we achieve zero-touch automation. So this model where we can use machine learning to predict signal strength is being extended in our center, where we can use machine learning to predict signal quality, and then system capacity, and then quality of experience. And here I presented about say 20 parameters, and then we are extending this model to all 2000 parameters, where we will have ultimate goal is in next 5 years, or if you're like sooner than that, we will have an AI-based model which can predict the performance of the system in terms of capacity, quality, experience as a function of those 2000 parameters, and then we can use that model as a genie to achieve zero-touch automation. So that is the end goal which we proposed as a vision in that paper I cited earlier. And it turns out that since that paper was published, at that time when that paper was published, actually there was no session in Globecom or ICC on machine learning for wireless communication. And last week I was at Globecom, and 90% of the sessions are on machine learning and AI for wireless networks. And all of them are trying to do the same thing which we proposed about 6 years. So that's the kind of impact which that work has created. So why we want to do that? So here is a different perspective. This is a heat map, dynamic heat map we generated based on the data shared by us with the collaborating operator in Italy. And here we try to identify the predictors of the traffic. And there are actually about 5 very strong predictors, but that's not the point. The point here is that within 24 hours, as you can see for a given city, which is Milan here, the traffic is changing drastically. So there is high traffic, low traffic, medium traffic. These 3 different colors represent these 3 different levels of traffic. But the network does not adapt that frequently. So that means only one thing. We are either over-engineering or under-engineering. We cannot afford to have to do under-engineering because we will upset the customer. So we end up doing over-engineering, which means we end up having a lot of operational cost and expensive network. So this is the problem which can be solved if we have AI-based automation, which will orchestrate all the parameters, 2000 plus parameters, simultaneously to optimize the network. And this is a framework which would be required, and we are working on that. This is a funded $1 million project from NSF, where the key idea is that we start from the data, observation data from the network, and then we reprocess that data, create the models, and instead of trying to configure all those 2000 parameters manually, you just get the top level policies, which is like tuning the knobs. It's like having autopilot versus a plane where you have to tune 2000 knobs yourself. Here you can just choose between 3 KPIs, which is capacity, quality, service, and say energy efficiency. And you can prioritize the weightage between them, and then the machine learning and AI engine will translate that into low-level performance indicators, and then performance indicators, and then counters, and then it will choose the parameter which needs to be optimized and orchestrated dynamically using this sophisticated engine. So that's the overarching research team in our lab on the cellular system. So here is a small demo which shows where we stand today. Actually, it will just take a minute. It will work. So what is happening here is that as the users are moving, this black dots are actually users. So as the users are moving around, which means the traffic pattern is changing. As you can see, the azimuths of the antennas are changing, and these numbers are the tails. And there is a third parameter which is cell individual offset. So those are changing accordingly using the artificial intelligence engine which we have developed. So this is for the first time actually this can be done optimally. Before that it was like hit and try. So you try and then you see the results and you will never be sure of the performance. So this, compared to that, this is the optimal performance which we can achieve at least for these 3 parameters. I've been told I have 2 minutes, so I will move on to opportunities. So current limitations in machine learning and AI, and this is like interesting section for young researchers here. Training data sparsity is an important challenge, which needs to be addressed. Focusing on deep learning is a good thing. Yes, it's very popular, but we should realize that deep learning requires a lot of training data. And we, like we have highlighted, ultimate goal is general AI, which means we want to mimic human behavior. But we all know that we are one-shot learners. This often results into overfitting, which results into biases and racism and all types of ignorances. But we are one-shot learners, and machine learning is not one-shot. We need a lot of data. But in reality, for real system engineering, you need to have the models which can learn from sparse data. And then the other challenge is non-stationarity. Most applications of machine learning is being applied for the image processing. There, the underlying model is stationary. The system is stationary. So there are many systems which are not stationary, and there it is not clear how we can apply machine learning. And then computational power is also a challenge. And interpretability is very important. We want to know why the decision is being made, not only rely on the decision. And I agree, actually, there was a question about ethics. So this goes back to this interpretability. So if machine learning is interpretable, probably it will become more AI is interpretable, it will become more trustworthy. But I observe that we humans are very judgmental. We not only judge each other, but we judge AI as well, and at a much stricter level as we judge ourselves. So for example, accident rate of our autopilot is probably 0.001%, and the human driver is 3%, and yet we say we are worried that why should we rely on autopilot? So hypothesis space in most engineering problem is very vast, which means yes, we can use TensorFlow, we can use GitHub, we can use actually Profit from Facebook, and we can use off-the-shelf cookie-cut canned machine learning models. But when it comes to deep domain knowledge-based applications, for example, cellular systems, then you realize that those models are not designed for you, actually, because you have to stop, you cannot even formulate the right hypothesis. Forget about hyperparameterization. So you have to go one step back, and you have to have customized machine domain-specific models. And it's called native AI, domain native AI. So we are working on that. So if you are interested, then you can look into this difference. So I will conclude with the kind of summarizing the lab portfolio. So we, although our academic center, but our impact goes, we are not focused on publications only. Our work is more focused on creating impact at real world users and industry. And we are funded by $5 million plus in the last 5 years, including several $1 million from NSF and Google, as well as AT&T and several other top vendors and operators. And we do have test beds and real data sets and collaborations which set us apart in terms of give us advantage of applying machine learning to wireless communication. And to give you perspective, in Globecom, I noted this slide. Ericsson CTO was presenting this at a panel in which I was co-presenter, and they were presenting their latest solution about the antenna data optimization. And I saw this footnote here, stolen with pride from Imran. So that is actually the last week. So that's actually just to give you an idea that how our work is being used by industry. So these are the references which we can give more detail if you are interested. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry for my tired tone. If you look tired, I am tired because I've been flying for almost 72 hours non-stop.